Hi, my name is Ethan.
I'm Pam.
I'm Samson.
I'm Xavier.
And I'm Julia.
I'm Kim.
I'm Florida.
And
we are the
99. 99. 99. 99.
99.
99.
The 99.
99.
99.
99.
The 99.
The
99.
The 99.
Hi guys, my name is Payne.
I'm Medi.
And I'm Julia.
And we are the 99 Podcast. So our podcast is aimed to encourage and to reach all the believers, especially those who are in the Hmong community. Hopefully our videos can encourage you guys and lift you guys up. We give our insight, our stories on different stories or topics, and hopefully, it could, like I said, encourage you guys as well. So we're going to go ahead and get into our topic today. So today, our topic is going to be about something that a lot of people experience in church, but don't always have the words to say it. Right? It's something like it's feeling or being tired, right? Tired church routines, tired of programs, sometimes tired of church schedules, rules, and expectations. And then sometimes it's not even that you don't love God, it's just that you're so exhausted from church activities as well. So again, today we're gonna unpack the spiritual apathy, or is it just burnout? So I think a lot of people don't just wake up one day and go, I am tired of church, right? Because I don't think none of us would one day, well, not now, but in the past be yeah, first day of church, I'm so tired, right? It's something that accumulates, right? It's a gradual things, and you start noticing it in things like doing things that are repetitive, right? And or maybe having the same expectations year after year, or the same routines, or just showing up and just not feeling connected. And it just starts to feel like you're just going through the motion of it all. So my question to you guys is, have you ever felt like a church, or for the young people, your youth group started to feel more like a routine than something meaningful?
I think, yes. Well, we all do feel like that.
Are you feeling that?
Yes. No. I think at one point I did feel like that. Going to church it has just become, what do you call it, a routine, a job, because it's when you hold ministries, people is always going to need you. You accidentally made yourself too important that you're needed, but I think along the way I start to enjoy it. It starts to become my daily norm, so when I go on vacation now and I miss church because I go on vacation, I was like, it's so weird, I miss church, so it definitely do feel repetitive, and it do feel annoying, and it do feel like a job in the beginning, but I've grown to love it. I've grown to not just see it as a job, but as a part of my life that continue to serve the Lord.
Can you repeat the question?
So the question is, have you ever felt like church started to feel more like a routine than something meaningful?
I think when you first do ministry, right, it is exciting, right? It's new and you're still trying to figure it out and everything. But if you've been doing ministry for 5, 6, 7, 10 years, right, it does start to feel like a routine, right? Because then you come to church, right? Then the ones who come early to set up, they come and set up, right? And then cleaning things, just, like disinfecting, all that stuff, like it is like the same thing, right? Especially if like your schedule, like, okay, first Sunday, this is what we do. Second Sunday, this is what we do. And it does become routine. And I think the hard part is that when it becomes so routine, it's like you tend to forget why you're doing the ministry that you're doing in the first place, right? Mm-hmm. And then I think it is good for us to like change it up a bit, but I think it's kind of hard too, because you kind of need the routine, or else it's like hard to do the ministry as well.
Yeah, I would agree. I think like bouncing off of that as well, it's like, I think it's something like, I think there's the phrase that goes, oh my God, I'm like speaking by phrase. Something like, if it works, like don't change it, right? Kind of thing. Yeah. Right. But like I agree, it does become like a routine. And I think it's not that, you don't care or like you don't love God anymore. It's just that things, like you guys are saying, it becomes very repetitive, and you kind of just like get stuck in that motion of like, okay, Sunday, I know I have to come, I have to set up. Like if you're in worship, you set up worship. You're with the kids, you set up your classroom. You're with the youth, you do everything you need to do, prep for it, lead, like, and so like what the question is, just becomes like a routine. It becomes something like repetitive over and over, and then like how Medi was saying, you kind of forget why you do it as well.
Sorry, this kind of reminds me, like, it's good having routine, but sometimes God's funny, because then he throws things at you, right? And like it throws you off your routine, so then you have to really like, it keeps you in check, right? Like for example, I remember this one year, this will be such a memorable year for me. And it was like, it was my first time doing ministry. And then I remember most of the leaders in the church at that time, they were all family, right? And then a member of their family had passed away, right? It was unexpected, out of nowhere. And then out of nowhere, they just like, in the very morning right before church, they don't show up to church, right? And then they ask everyone to take over, right? And it was so hard, because you had there was like a lot of people who were in the worship team, right? You had them who were in the men's department. You had them in the children's department, right? And it was so hard. And I remember thinking to myself, like, this is when, like, I remember people were like panicking. They're like, oh, what do we do, right? And it's when you really remember, like, okay, like you have to really stop and think, like it's kind of like you have to go back to God, right? And be like, you have to take a breath, ask God, like, like, what do I do, and you just pray that he guides you through that whole day, right? But to me, that was memorable, because I remember seeing so many crying faces, and I was really new to ministry. It was a little scary, but yeah.
I get it. I mean, I think I was there. I might have been one of the teary eyes. But yeah, so I definitely agree where I think, you do have a structure, it becomes really repetitive. And sometimes it feels like heavy. Like, I don't want to call it like a burden, because I can't speak on like behalf of like anyone, but like it does like feel heavy, or like I said too, it's like it's very repetitive. But I want to ask you guys do you think people feel this way, or even like maybe yourself feel this way because it's like an issue with like your heart? Or do you think it's the way church life is kind of like structured sometimes?
Can you ask your question differently?
So you know how like we're saying like church is like going, or like ministry and stuff like that. It's like a routine. It's repetitive. Sometimes it gets to a point where you just go through the motion, right? And sometimes it almost feels like you lack that like emotion, like that part, the human side of like doing ministry. And
so you lose your purpose.
So kind of, so it's like, do you think like it has to do with like your heart not aligning with like God, or do you think it's how church life, or like how church is kind of structured?
So like So like you're doing it just to do it without putting your emotion and your all
Yeah,
in
like
it.
you're yeah.
Like, is that how church is lately?
Or like it's like it's saying like, what do you think it is? Is it the issue? Is it so what I'm trying to say is the issue you or the issue how church is like basically ran?
I think
It's just
sorry.
anyone.
go ahead.
I think you know how there's like that Bible verse where like, you know, they tell us to be with the like equal yoke, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in ministry, I know like everyone's on different like everyone's walk of Christ is different, right? But I feel like for myself personally, right, I feel like I'm a very enthusiastic person where people have often told me that I have big dreams and I like to go the extra mile. Like people always tell me I'm very extra, right? And it's because I always believe in giving it my all or not giving it at all, right? And it's hard to do ministry when you have a team who don't have the same passion as you, right? Because then let's say like I'm over here like I want to do this, you know, for example, like, oh, you know, I want to do this for the youth or I want to do this for the kids, you know. But then if let's say my team, they don't feel the same way I do, then it is tiring because then I feel like I'm dragging my team along with me, right? Mm-hmm. And then you feel bad, so then you kind of get stuck in a limbo because then you want to do things, but then you feel bad for dragging these people to do it with you. And then you end up not doing anything at all, right? And then you do kind of stick to the same routine. And then I especially feel bad because I'm in the kids ministry department. Mm-hmm. And I feel bad when I hear all these kids that they want to do all these things, right? They want to do sports ministry. Like they've been asking me, right? But then even though I want to do it for them, right? Or let's say I want to do camping with them, right? Because they've been asking me, right? But then it gets discouraging when you have team members and they tell you like, oh no, like we shouldn't do that, you know, because it's too much work. Or I have work, I don't have time to do this and that, right? But I'm not trying to throw shade, okay? But then it makes me sad because when I hear people say that, right? But then I see people go on vacation, right? I see people, right? They do parties for their family members, right? And I hear how they're the ones who are the planners or the decorators, and I see how much effort they put into their own personal things, right? And I wish that that same energy would also be given into ministry as well.
What was your question again? Nettie took the cake.
So to bluntly, you know,
Mm-hmm.
put it, do you think like it's a you issue or is it like how church is run when it comes to like kind of just feeling like you're in a cycle, like there's nothing new, nothing.
I feel like, is it a me issue or is it a church issue? I feel like it could go both ways. I feel like, because obviously, you know, you don't wake up every day and be like, yeah, I'm going to worship the Lord. Yeah, I'm going to, you know, do this and do that, you know. Some days I wake up and I'm just like, damn, Lord, just take me already, you know.
Okay.
But, you know,
She's joking.
as much as I wanted that to happen, you know, especially when I go to church, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do the bare minimum today, you know. I'm going to do the bare minimum and then my team can carry me, you know. But then when I'm there, I'm like, I can't do the bare minimum. I have to give it my all, because I'm also in the kids ministry. I was like, my kids, my children, they need me. If I was to do the bare minimum for them, then it would be like,
right?
you know,
You can't just look me in the eyes and abandon me, right?
Yeah. and it's like, you know, it's like Mary said, you know, it's like when your passion and you know, God is, you know, putting fire in you, you know, and you want to do so much, but you have teammates that, you know, are busy with their life and, you know, are not as active as you are. It gets hard. And because that's where I realized that I'm the backup, you know. I'm the backup.
What do you mean by the backup?
You feel like you're the backup.
We'll give her a moment. I think what she means by the backup is that, like, oftentimes, like in ministry, right? Everyone has their own roles to play, right? Everyone's like
it's like picking up
yeah.
somebody's slack.
Yeah. Cause then, like, let's say, like, we have, like, we have, like, teachers, and then if, like, let's say, like, you're a teacher or you're an assistant, they don't show up, right? Then you have to grab the backup, right? And they have to pick up the slack, because the truth is, a department, it is like that Bible verse where, like, everyone is, like, the same body, but everyone's a different part of the body, right?
Yes.
And it's like, well, I can't ask my leg to start being my arm, and then it does make it hard, right? Because I'm asking my leg to be my arm.
and then it's like when you have, like, because she's our leader, she's our president, and when you have our president, you see that she's, like, so hardworking, you're like, damn, I can't slack off as well, I gotta work as hard, because who's gonna be there to be with her if she's going down, I need to go up, or we gotta support
Like
each other,
vice
versa, so, and then like, it's like you feel bad, because then it's not just for your teams that you feel bad for, because then you also feel bad for God, because then out of the whole 7 days, you basically dedicated 1 day to God, and the day that you're supposed to dedicate your day to God is you're not giving your all, so that's where I feel bad, because the 6 days that I don't go to church, it's like I'm already busy with life, with work, with school, or whatever that I have to do, and I can't dedicate 1 day to God, so they make me feel bad. And then I guess it's also like a wake-up call, like, hey, come on, the Lord needs you, the kids need you, your teammates, they need you, so you can't really slack off even if you want to, because then you start to see why you begin to do it all over again. So yes, sometimes it sucks being the backup.
No, you're not the backup. You are backing me up.
Yes, I'm backing her. I am the assistant to the assistant to the assistant, so it's like, which I don't mind, because at times I do enjoy, because I get to go everywhere, and then I just don't get to do one thing. I get to do multiple things, but then it's like, damn, I need to catch a break too. But then it's like, damn, it's okay. God is breathing in my lungs for me, so that's okay. So it's like that. So it's like I said, sometimes it's like a me thing. Sometimes it's like my emotion are high and my emotion are low. But then when God put me in the moment, it's like, okay, Jill, you gotta go, 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 go. And then sometimes it's like your teammates, they can't make it, or things happen, because life's happening, and you're just like, okay, gotta do it. If that makes sense. Sorry about that, folks.
No, you're all good. So, like, we're talking about go, 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 and, like, just do.
Yes.
Right? Now I want to kind of go into, like, the meat of this conversation, is the meat of this, like, episode is basically burnout versus apathy. Mm-hmm. Sorry. Yeah. So just to clarify to, like, viewers or, like, people who don't know, like, burnouts are more like, I'm gonna use, like, a sentence to kind of explain it. Mm-hmm. So burnouts are more like, oh, like, I care, but I'm just so, like, exhausted, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I still love to do, I still love to help, but I'm just so, like, tired. Mm-hmm. And then apathy is more like you could care less. You're like, if they're gonna burn, let them burn. Mm-hmm. Or like, if, it could be like, I'm not going to do anything anymore because, I'm over it. Like, who cares kind of thing. I don't know. Does that kind of explain the difference? But I think sometimes the thing is they both could kind of, like, feel the same at moments. So I just want to ask you guys, have you guys ever felt burnout or apathy? Because for me, I could say I'm kind of like the similar boat with, like, Medi, where it's like you rather give it your all than none. Because I'm also have this mindset of, like, if someone needs my help, I'm gonna help regardless. Like, when it comes to, like, leadership or, like, like ministry. Like if the youth ministry needs like, I don't know, I'm gonna just throw this out, like a treasure, and they're like paying, can you help us? Like there's nobody else, then I will willingly like do it. It's not like I'm like, oh, there's nobody else. I think that's just kind of like my personality. But I definitely do feel like I have had like burnouts before. And I don't think I ever really been through like apathy, right? Because to me, it doesn't align with like my beliefs, right? I'm not to say like people don't get tired or like exhausted and they just kind of want to like sit out, whatever. But I definitely would say I have had like burnouts before. What about you guys?
Definitely when I started ministry and was, a baby Christian, I definitely have burnt out, where it's like you're so invested in it, but you're being pulled from all direction and you don't know what to do. And you're just like, okay. And then it's also like insecure feeling where like, am I doing enough? Am I not doing enough? So that's where like the burnout kick in. And it's just like, you're just stuck. For apathy, I can agree with you. I like to say I reached apathy before, but it's not exactly apathy, because then for me it's more like when we do like a big events, like something like for the kids, for like VBS, and we're almost there at the finish line, and like you were basically, you stayed up all night just to do all these decorations. You're like finishing the last meal, and you're just like, I don't care anymore, just forget it. To me, that's my last moments, So I usually feel apathy, usually at the very, very end when it's almost at the finishing line, but I wouldn't say it would exactly be throughout like my whole entire phase. It would just be like in those one moments where like I'm super tired.
Those weak moments.
In those very, very weak moment at like 2 a.m. in the morning, because we have to admit there are times where we did end up staying at church almost till 2 a.m. just to, decorate and then you have to be there at 7 a.m.
Are you
this sounds a little like projecting. She loves kids ministry. Okay?
It's all worth it. I promise, it's all worth it. But your sanity, you do pay a price for it sometime, But it's like I said, it's all worth it. It's just tiring, especially when you're like cramming everything within a week, So I usually feel apathy when I'm really tired, especially physically tired, and knowing that we're already in like a time crunch. So that's when I will feel apathy. But burnt out, I don't feel burnout anymore. I think it's the opposite. Now I feel a little too passionate, that when I see others, maybe I shouldn't say this. I won't say it. I feel a little too passionate that, that sometimes I do kind of feel like Meta's like, oh, I feel like I'm just dragging people along, and I do feel bad for them. But I'm like, keep up. Sorry.
Hold on, I gotta collect all my thoughts again.
Keep up.
I'm kind of on the same boat with pain, right? So I'm more of a person where I get burnt out, right? I don't have apathy, because I really keep going, right? Even like everyone who's like worked with me, they know that I will just keep going, right? And I know it's not just me, right? We have someone in our church, right, where she also has a lot of burnout, right? And for as long as I can remember, if I am there at 7 a.m. until like 2 a.m., she's there with me. And she might say no, but I know in her heart she will show up. And so I do appreciate everyone that does do it with me, right? But going back to the question, yes, I do get burnout, right? But I think it's because of the way I had encountered Christ, because I didn't grow up in a Christian family. I became a Christian later on in my adult life, right? And so the way I encountered Christ, it was different. And so because of the way I encountered Christ, right, I feel a lot of I feel like there's so much that I have to do for God, right? And it's hard because you just never know what it is that's going to reach people, right? That I feel the need to do all that I can in order to reach people, right? Whether it's events, whether it is like an outreach or a prayer, or even if just going out and like fellowshipping with someone, right? And even though like I do get really tired, some people will talk to me and I won't be listening anymore because
She will stare you
I
dead
will
in your
stare at
eyes.
you and I'm gone, but my arms will still keep moving, right? And then I'll probably tell you I didn't tell you that, but maybe I did. I don't know, right? But I don't feel the apathy, but I do understand why people would get apathy, right? Because it is like how Julia said, it is like that sense of urgency when you're trying to finish, right? And at the same time, it's also because you have reached your limit, right? Like you've pushed past what is able, and then, you know, everyone's limit is different. So I do understand it though.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because I think with like burnouts and stuff, sometimes people don't even know that they're burnt out. Because it goes back to like how we were talking about earlier. Like it's like you're just going through the motion. It's like routine. You know, it's this, like you're just going through it. And sometimes like it's just like I feel like burnouts too. It's not just like feeling tired, but I think it's also like emotionally drained or like spiritually drained. Like I think those two also plays a big part in burnouts, or even leads to apathy, right?
Yeah.
And
Sorry, I want to comment on that.
yeah, go for it.
Sorry, I know what you mean, right? What like people say like they burn out and stuff, and some of them don't even realize it. I think the saddest part about burnout is when you have so much talent that God gives you, right? But it's because you're burnt out that you decide to resign from ministry, right? Like we have this person and he is extremely talented in the worship team, right? But
I know who you're talking about.
Same here. You know who
but
you are.
it's like you know that they are burnt out, right? And it is sad because you do lose someone who is valuable to the team, right? But because they're so burnt out that there's nothing you can do, because you also want them to be spiritually nourished again, right? But then you can't help but also like wonder to yourself, but what if they burn out and they leave and then that's how they left, right? That's the last impression that it was, right? And you're kind of stuck between like never really knowing and staring at them every Sunday and wondering, thinking if you want to approach them and like and just shake them a little bit, you know, and be like, are you sure? Right? But it is sad though, like when people do like burnout and they don't do the ministry anymore, because there are some people who are really talented at what they do, but I get that it just became too much.
Yeah, I agree as well. And I think there's a lot of different things that goes into like burnouts. Like I also don't think it's just like ministry or like working like overtime in like a department. I think it could also include like the people in the church as well. Like not just, you know, because I believe that every church, you know, goes through this or have moments like this where, you know, especially when it comes to like emotionally and like spiritually like burnout, like I think a lot of times it's not through like the physical like hard work. It's through like not having people like backing you up or not having people support, like how you were saying earlier about like the team. Like, you know, if one person or like you want something or like you feel like this is the right direction to lead the department or like this group of people, but everyone else who's supposed to be on the same side as you or like, you know, like encourage you to like push with those ideas are not supporting you, like it becomes like emotionally drained, or it becomes spiritually drained. Because like I see it in like pastors, I see it in like church leaders, like especially, you know, like also being like a youth leader too. It's like from parents, you know, like sometimes I think parents are like, you know, they want their kids to come to church, and they're like, youth leaders, go do something. But the truth is, like, sometimes parents don't realize that, you know, like then by them saying, oh, you're not doing enough for my kids, you're not this, like, you know, discouraging like a leader, like that leads to them like feeling
Like
inadequate, or like they haven't done enough. And then so like, you know, they push themselves even more, or they start to question, am I doing enough? And that leads to like spiritually burnouts, like emotional like burnouts, and then it leads down the path to apathy. Right? So yeah, and going down that road too, it's like I just want to hear, or like maybe you guys can share maybe some experience as well. It's like, have you ever, because we talked about like burnout in general, but I want to like kind of like hear maybe if you guys want to share, have you guys ever felt like spiritually like burnt out before, or even like emotionally burnt out? Either or.
I think everyone who does ministry, you know, including myself, have, you know, spiritual burnout, you know. It's like I used to be a youth leader, and then this one year I stopped because I felt really burnt out. I felt like, you know, I didn't know what was my role in a youth leader anymore. I feel like I didn't have a purpose, or that I couldn't help the youth anymore. And I just felt, it wasn't that I was physically tired, but I guess it was just a lot of me, a lot of inner self moment, and a lot of self-reflecting, like, what can I offer, you know? And I guess it really is a spiritual burnout, because then I really want to help the youth, and I still really want to help, you know, continue to be a leader. But it's like my energy, my strength is not there. Like my emotion is there, but my action is not there anymore. And that's when I realized that, okay, I just need to take a step back, because what I'm doing is I'm dragging my team down, you know, because it's like when everyone is up there, but you are down low, you can't drag your team down when they are the one who are leading the youth, you know? So I did take a year break from youth ministry, and then I believe I joined again the following year, because that's when, you know, I took a year break, because then it was just a lot of self-reflecting and a lot of, you know, reconnecting my purpose back with God. So yeah, I feel like spiritual burnout is like a real thing, because then it really, how should I say it? It's a spiritual connection at the same time, and it's something that, you know, really make us kind of hate ourselves, because I know that at that point I really hated myself.
Can I like ask you, like,
Yeah.
do you think spiritual burnout is, oh my god, what was the word I was looking? Do you think spiritual burnout are like is also like mistaken, or can lead to someone thinking I have failed, or like spiritual
so.
fail, something like that?
Yeah, because when I had spiritual burnout, I did feel like a failure, you know, because it's not that I wanted to leave the youth and, you know, not becoming a youth leader. I still really did want it to, but because I felt like, you know, it's like you said, I feel like I wasn't worthy enough. I feel like I have failed at my job, and I didn't have anything to offer, any gift to give, that I took a step back, you know. But I realized that, you know, but I think we all have to go through it at one point to know that that's not true, and that the devil is a liar, you know, and that maybe that spiritual burnout was God telling you, hey, you know, instead of focusing so much on serving the people, you need to take a step back and, you know, just serve me. Because sometimes we forget that we can idolize ministry, and that we just focus and we think that we're doing it for God, but at the end, when we really take a step back, when I took a step back, I realized that at one point in my ministry being a youth leader, it's like, yes, God was still there, but my focus wasn't really on God anymore. It was on the youth. And, it was a really painful time, but I'm glad that God pulled me back, and made me realize that, hey, what I was doing, it wasn't really what God wanted it. Because before I can even help another person, especially with their faith, I have to help myself first. I have to regain my spirits back. I have to rebuild my connection with God. So I think, spiritual, for me personally, I like to think that everything that I encounter, whether it's good or bad, is always something for a growing experience. And I think God have shown me a lot through my spiritual burnout. So now I haven't felt any spiritual burnout lately. Maybe apathy, like forget it. But I still very love my ministry, okay?
I don't have a specific example, right? But I will say that for myself with burnout, for me, it's a lot of emotional, right? So I notice usually when when I am burned out, right, I tend to have no control over my emotions. So it goes from me being either really moody, right, to me being really emotional, as in I'll cry at anything, right? Because I noticed that whenever we do a lot of ministry, a lot of events back to back especially, and then right when we're done, right, and then I finally go and rest, right, and then I'll be scrolling on Facebook, right, and then I'll just see a baby cockatiel bird singing, and then I just start crying, right, and then they'll ask me, why are you crying, and I go, I don't know why, it's just I'm not sad, right? But I think it's because there's just so much emotions built up from the event, because I think part of the burnout too is the high emotions, right? Because I know that even though we're all brothers and sisters in Christ, and we all help each other to get the event done, I'm not gonna lie, there have been times where we both have been at each other's throat, right? And we do go at it, right?
Behind the scenes.
Not in front of the kids.
Yeah.
But it is true, right? And then sometimes you don't even realize that the stress you're under, right, that you might have raised your voice to someone, right, and you didn't even realize that you what you said or how you said it hurt them, right? And so for me, the burnout is more emotional, right? But at the same time, I think it's kind of good too for me to burn out, because sometimes I don't know how to rest when I keep going. So it kind of helps me kind of stop, right, myself, and it kind of helps me try to realign with Christ again, right? Because it's like what Julia was saying, right? If you can't even help yourself, how can you help others, right? I'm not saying to keep burning yourself out, okay, but I'm saying that is kind of the results of it.
And I think burnt out is a way, Jesus is calling us back, hey, you're doing everything by yourself, you're doing too much. Did you forget that this whole point is for you to depend on me, but you are so focused on, oh, I can do it, I'm strong, that you forget to rely on me. And I think burnt out is a spiritual, it's like a spiritual bell reminding us, hey, you need to come back to the Lord, take a break. It's okay to take break, because we're only human. That's the point. That's why we are supposed to rely on God,
Yeah, just kind of going to taking a break. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. it is, I feel like it is okay to step away, right? But my thing is, what are you doing when you take a break, right? Because you said, I'm stepping away to align with God, For me, I'm okay, if you're going to align with God again, what are you doing to align with God? Obviously, I'm not here to be oh, you're doing it all wrong. But sometimes I see it where there's leaders who are yeah, I'm taking a break this year, or I'm stepping away to focus on myself, to to focus on me and God, growing my relationship with God. And sometimes the truth is they're not doing that, right?
And they don't come back.
Yeah, and it's and some people are like that. Some people are like that. And so I think it is important for when you do take a step back, focus, dive into the word of God, like, replenish yourself again, right? Or, like go to someone, or like have a group of like friends, or a group of people who support you, and you can lean on to say like, hey, can you pray for me? Because I am feeling stressed out. I am feeling burnout. I am feeling A, B, C, and I need help. I need prayers, be my support, be my prayer warriors with me. And so, last question, right, is how can you stay connected to your faith without burning out on church routine? Without burning out on church routines and church expectations. So like, how do we stay grounded in Christ when we do all these ministries, so we don't feel burnout, even though we know we're like burnout's like, yeah.
Fortunately, I'm lucky enough. So anyone out there who is a Christian male, right? These two single ladies would also be someone. Okay, but fortunately, I have been blessed with a really great man, right? And again, these two are looking, okay, but he is my ground, right? Like when I feel burnt out, right? Like he knows when I'm burnt out, right? And he, even though he's not able to help me in my ministry with whatever I'm doing, he's able to come back and remind me again, like, like, why are you doing this, right? And he prays for me constantly, and he has started this thing where he has us read the Bible, and I get so tired. So like, I feel so bad, right? Like I'll tell him I don't want to read, I just want to lay there, right? And he goes, okay, you can lay there, I'll read to you, right? And then like he'll start reading to me, and I'll start feeling kind of bad, right? And then, I'll start reading along with him, right? And then he'll be like, oh yeah, we'll just do one chapter. Next thing I know, we're like 15 chapters in already, right? And so having that someone to kind of remind me, right? It's nice that we don't share that ministry, because he doesn't have to
Carry your burden or something.
Kind of like, like kind of like that, right? So it's like, it's good balance of each other, because then when I'm down, he pulls me back up, and then vice versa as well.
I think for me, what keep me grounded in Christ and not burned out is life. I think, well, for me, for in my season, I'm in school, right? And it's like really hard. So something that that has kept me grounded, because then it's like God is like, okay, you can't do this without me. So it's like he just made everything harder. If that makes sense.
To each your own, like God.
Yeah. Obviously. I think it's because I'm a little more stubborn. I can be a little bit prideful, and I like to do everything on my own, And because of that, I guess I put myself in a situation where I am reliant on the Lord, So like for school, I'm so reliant on God to help me pass. I'm so reliant on him to provide for me financially, because I don't know where I'm going to get these resources. I don't know how I am going to pass without the Lord. So school and work and, just going on with like my daily struggle in life is what reminded me, like, damn, Jill, you can't do this by yourself, Like you need God if you want to be successful in life. So that has what keep me grounded.
And a godly man
with a lot of money.
With a Christ-centered relationship.
But yeah, I think you guys have shared wonderful stories, and to our viewers, thank you for listening, having and being part of our conversation here as well. But if you feel tired or disconnected, or you're in this dry season, right? That's right. Don't be too quick to label yourself as failure. Burnouts are normal. I feel like apathy is also normal, but it's just how you get yourself out of that. Again, like I said, rely on your brothers and sisters in Christ. Seek God in everything you do. And like the Bible says, don't lean on your own understanding, right? And lean on Christ. So again, thank you guys again for watching this video. Hopefully you guys liked it, enjoyed it, took something away. But we're just so glad to have you guys all here. Also, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Also follow us on our Instagram on the 99 Podcast, or the 99 _ Podcast. Also, follow us, like us on Facebook as well. We have some pretty cool content and stuff on there too as well. Same thing with our Instagram as well. So again, see you guys next time and bye.